In early 2017, Mushi became responsible for forging a new roster to take Mineski to the very top. After unsuccessful experiments in the first half of 2017, Mineski announced massive news in the summer that Ice 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 would be joining the team alongside Jabs. The reunion of Ice 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 and Mushi, Southeast Asia's most successful players under the same roof, gave the region new hope, and the new Mineski made an instant impact on the Dota Pro circuit.
And GG, well played. Mineski will take the game. They'll guarantee TI points.
The team finished runners-up behind the TI7 champions Team Liquid at the very first minor of the DPC in Kiev. But it was after their second DPC appearance that people really took notice. The PGL Open Bucharest.
GG is called from Meow. Mineski, insanely solid performance, will win the PGL Open here in Bucharest.
At the minor in Bucharest, Mineski cruised to their second grand finals. And this time, they clinched the title. 2 minors, 2 grand finals, and a spot on top of the DPC rankings. It was the perfect start to the DPC. However, competition in their region heated up, and Mineski soon found themselves fighting for qualification. The majors eluded them, and Mineski began slipping down the rankings. The first quarter of 2018 saw signs of life at the minors, but 2 heavy defeats at back-to-back majors saw many lose faith. At the Bucharest major, Mineski finished 13-14th, their lowest land placement since the team was formed. But it would mark the turning point of their entire season. 1 month later, Mineski headed to China for the DAC Major, and when everyone least expected it, they started crushing. With no weight of expectation on their shoulders, Mineski thrived, and the Southeast Asian team went all the way, taking no prisoners to secure a DPC Majors title. The world took notice of Mineski once again, and the possibility of a TI8 invite, which looked like a fantasy just 1 month earlier, was now back on the table. Mineski were a force to be reckoned with once more.
The road of the DPC as far as Mineski are concerned. Shout out to 73 in the middle of all that as well. He wasn't mentioned, but he was a pivotal part of the change in fortunes of Mineski. Now a major champion, the first ever team from Southeast Asia to do so. Right now they're 1-1 with Vici Gaming, still in the hunt for a second title of the year. Vici, of course, still looking for their first title of a very long DPC season in which they finished second 4 times, no less. But they're both in the lower brackets. They've got a lot of fighting ahead of them, not least of which ahead in the 3rd game between the 2 of them, which is coming up very shortly. Draft just around the corner. Let's get some thoughts from the Has, Black and Fogged as we head towards that. Gents, it's been you would say probably Mineski have edged this so far, having dominated game 2 or parts of game 2, and probably, in honesty, should have won game 1 as well. So they'll be thinking, we can win this, we can still take... Do you think maybe Vici is sitting there thinking, we're lucky to still be in this?
Probably a little bit. I mean, that first game was, like we said, coin flip.
Yeah.
But Mineski overall, for me, they've played more consistently at this tournament in comparison to Vici. Vici had that, I mean, yesterday, I'm kind of trying to forget about yesterday for Vici because they looked very, very shaky, at least Ori against specific.
Yeah. But they
still won.
But they also,
if that team had showed up today,
the
the series would have been over in under an hour, right? So they have played a lot better.
And yeah, Ori stepped it up a lot
And
today.
they were inconsistent in the groups as well. So it's not like it's the first time we've seen any inconsistency from Mineski, on the other hand, Alan, seemed to be, I'm not going to say fully back to the kind of, you know, the heights of DAC 6 weeks ago, but they certainly seem to be playing better than they played in anything since that point.
Right, they definitely looked in the first couple of events that they played after DAC, they definitely looked like they had a little hangover, and it's tough, right? You see this a lot with young athletes, that you win a first big tournament, they come back and you got everybody telling you how good you are. And the worst thing that happens is you listen. And I think this Mineski team does look like they've refocused. Still a lot of volatility from game to game, but Ice, when he's on, is just, he's such a creative player. He plays his heroes unlike anybody else, and he's going to create openings for you.
Yeah. Black, what's he like to play with in the team? Is he as Larry and as kind of weird and wacky as he appears in social media and on screen?
Yes and no. He definitely knows when to be serious, and then he will be serious, and he won't really be like clowning around anymore unless he sees a good opportunity in the game to like alt chat or whatever. He'll do it. He'll do it. Or I taunt him with an item. But you know, it's good for the team morale too, because you know you have the guy on your team, and more importantly, playing against him. I've done it so many times and I hated it every time.
Right.
Just laning against him is a nightmare. He will just abuse you, and he will make fun of you, and he will just
Get in your head.
honestly, he will just get in your head. Yeah.
I was going to say the best explanation I had was from a Chinese player who told me he's obnoxious to play with. Against.
Yeah.
You know, when you're going to play against him, he's obnoxious because he just never lets you settle and do what you want to do in the game. He's just annoying you all over the map, no where you go.
From start to finish.
Yeah.
There was his weakness in the past too, because sometimes he would just like start feeding because of that. He would never let it go. But I think he overcame that weakness.
I think that's his power, right? It's just that randomness kind of in a way. It's like sometimes maybe he will just feed, but he's always going to pressure you. He's just going to be in your face and you're like, please just go elsewhere. Just get out of my lane. And he just won't.
And then you call the supports, and then you try lane there.
Yeah, and you try lane, and then he's like, thank you. Job done.
Yeah, he's a difficult man to play against. Is he also one of those players that lifts you in a position like this where it's 1-1 and you've got to win to go through the lower bracket? Does he lift you?
At first, actually, in the team, he had quite a lot of issues with that, with mentality issues. Right. But like throughout the year, he got better and better, and at the end, he did lift you. So he had like a gradual improvement, and I'm sure he kept improving.
Right. Did you see that from when you played with him at Vici and when you played with him a couple of years later again in a team?
Yeah, and in VG, he was like my best friend, and we always had like a lot of good times. But as I said, at that team, it was more like FY and Fenrir keeping the spirit up. He didn't have to do it, so I'm pretty sure he would have done it too if there was need be.
All right, first two picks, and they have let the one of the three things through that we didn't think they would let them through, and that's the Tide Hunter.
Mineski loves Tide Hunter versus Bane. I think I've seen them do it almost every single time the Bane was picked up when they had the opportunity.
Yep, there's nothing you can really do against the Tide Hunter as Bane. You can harass him out of the lane a bit, but mid-late game, nothing.
Yeah, you can't control him.
Is it half of one and six of the other, though? If they let the ban Tide and they let the Night Stalker through, did they just pick the Night Stalker anyway?
Well, they wouldn't have banned the Luna.
Yeah,
right?
the Luna is
that's the one that they were a bit of, I think, more afraid of than anything.
The respect ban after the last game.
Bane won both games, right? Yeah. So Bane won both games. Bane's
been
good hero.
Really good.
So
Tide too.
Yeah.
The Mineski are 4-0 with Tide in this tournament. They're 8-2 since DAC began. Only losses were to VP and then to Payne at Birmingham.
The thing I really like about Mineski when they do pick the Tide, a lot of teams when they pick it, I'm just like, this hero is so slow. He doesn't do anything in the early game. What they do is he usually skills Gush super early, and that's probably what he's going to do with the Skywrath. Gush plus Skywrath, you can actually apply pressure to that off lane.
And most people just like sack a Tide, you play 1v2, 1v3.
Yeah.
But they always duel in there. They never leave him alone. Yeah. As you said, Gush is, I would actually argue it's one of the best, if not the best, level 1 ability. It slows you by 40%, -3 armor. How much damage? Like 100 something?
Yeah, it's like it's just super value.
Yeah.
I mean, Vici himself exploited that, right? That was the land support Tide Hunter that won so many games. And I think Mineski, with Ice playing, is the best of both worlds. By the way, he is 63-22 career on his Tide, most Tide wins. And it's one of the top 10 hero win rates of 449 with 60-plus games. All time.
We ruined that a bit in Faceless. His win rate was like 80% back then. His win rate was like 80% in Faceless with the Tide Hunter or something, and now we dragged it down a bit. Make him look more mortal, you know.
So you get the Clockwork.
It's good against Skywrath.
Yeah.
I don't particularly know why you would pick it here. It doesn't really hard counter anything.
Yeah.
A setup for something later, perhaps?
Might be time for SF. Ori SF. Or Paparazzi SF. You want to
I was going to say.
They do run it almost exclusively at support. Last 6 times they picked it, it's been Lanham 4 times, and actually Fenrir twice, but we've already got the Bane on board.
Yeah.
So presumably 4-position Clockwork here.
Yeah, unless they really want to switch it to offlane. But again, I don't like offlane Clockwork. Like, if anything goes wrong in the early game, you just become a support basically in the end anyway, and you don't want to have that.
You have to own.
Yeah, you need to keep killing and killing and killing. You get level 6 with TP middle, you kill that guy, keep snowballing. And it's very hard against these top teams.
I like the Monkey King ban.
Yeah, one of the best heroes against Titan lane, of course.
Yeah, even if they were going to have this like dual pressure lane, it's just the overall aspect. If you leave that Tide at all, then the Monkey King can be left alone.
Yeah.
So you think the Monkey King ban is more about the matchup against Tide than foreshadowing any of the core picks that we're going to get in the second phase?
Yeah,
Okay.
more
Okay.
than likely.
Fair enough.
I also really like the PL ban because both supports presumably can't really deal with the PL, and usually like the support control is what kills PL in the game.
See, I don't think you have to ban PL there. I think you can just pick. You could just pick Underlord, right? Because PL can't doppel anymore out of root.
I mean, PL can definitely be dealt with, but a lot of the pressure, especially early game, comes from the supports, and the
Fair
supports
enough.
can't really pressure
enough.
PL too much. But yeah, like a lot of heroes actually are very strong against PL now with the root
Yeah,
mechanic.
The root mechanic
I
change
think
was
that's
big.
just crazy.
Especially Ember Spirit. He countered him so hard before, and now it's like a nightmare.
Ban Slark.
Ben Slark, of course, one of the best heroes against Titan lane.
And Bloodseeker is still available if they wanted it. And it has been picked by Vici in game 1.
But
Yeah,
that was against the Pangle here, because
Right,
it was a hard
right.
counter in the matchup. It is still strong against Titan lane, but mid late game it's a bit scary to play against the Titan.
It's
blown
a
up.
little weird in lane though, right? Because you get so many stick charges from the Blood Rage as
Yeah,
a Tide,
right.
so you're able to actually get those anchors. It kind of goes both ways. I feel like the Tide versus
you free
Bloodseeker.
farm as a Bloodseeker.
Yes.
Unless you actually get dual laned,
Which
which
you
you will
probably
be. Yeah,
No,
so you shouldn't pick it.
They
Yeah.
need their 5 here, surely. So this is probably like a disruptor.
Yeah, Disruptor. They even like to run the position 5 Sand King. Is that
That's
banned?
true. Yeah.
No, it's not banned. They could do that.
I'm cool with Sanking, especially because you're versus Clockwork too, right? If you're matching versus Clockwork's like really hard to actually get locked down on that.
But you need
Sand King.
catch. Either Disruptor or Sand King, something like that.
Yeah.
They also run the Witch Doctor.
Oh, Lion, of course.
Okay.
Oh, I
You're
like
talking
that a
about
lot.
catch. Talking about catch is the best hero in the game.
Oh, but don't you take Pugna now here as a 3 as Vici?
Pugna.
Pugna against
You're
Skyrath and
probably-
Lion supports?
You just lost with it though.
I think in the second game you would
I
have,
don't
but
know,
third
man.
game it's like in your head. You just lost
I
with
think
it.
it's already in your head. I agree.
Yeah.
It counters those 2 supports so hard.
It does.
But then you're carrying 2 supports with the core.
And you have a offlane Clockwork.
Yeah, all right, all right.
If anything, I would pick it for position 3. Because I don't think...
no, that's what I was saying. Offlane Pugna. I think
Okay.
you can,
Offlane partner.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
All right. Not
I
crazy.
can see it possible. Like it's a possibility, but...
I'm concerned just because like Tide's gonna build pipe. He's gonna build these tanky items that he's gonna group around your teammate with.
And then you set up a Mushi anti-mage with the... They played this in a
Oh.
tournament and they won with it.
I mean,
They
it's-
did.
That's like the few situations. I think it's versus like the Skyrats and the Pugnas and stuff where you can just nuke the whole team and kill them.
Yeah, or Darkseer.
Or Darkseer is very nice too. Yeah.
Doombringer.
Okay. All right, that's
Yeah.
the safer option there.
And of course,
Versus
tight
Tide.
counter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Super important to
Kraken
have that.
Shell does nothing.
yeah, and it's an early pipe builder against the 2 supports, so you know, kind of get the best of both worlds.
I think that was like the best offlane pick they could have gotten there.
Mineski has second pick this game, correct? Correct.
Yes.
Yes. So they're probably going to leave their mid for last. They like to do that. Pick a somewhat, like a life stealer. Bane is good against it, but he's good against the other 2.
Carry hero versus Doom.
Where's the Juggernaut gone, by the way?
I
We only
still
have-
think you could pick.
Yeah,
Death
I don't
Prophet
know why
here.
it disappeared. I think it's really strong still, but
I like it.
people really don't want to pick it anymore.
Well,
There's only been 2 of them, right? This tournament, or only 1?
Maybe one.
I think 2, but it.
They go for the gyro.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
Well, they're one
I
of the
mean,
only teams that pick gyro into a Bane, but I actually don't like gyro against any 3 of the
yeah,
heroes.
Me
I
either.
don't understand the
VG.
gyro pick at all here.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah, there's
don't.
been just 2 jug games so far.
They both
this
won?
tournament. Only
Both
one.
lost?
Only one.
One
one.
one loss.
I mean,
yeah.
there's just so many. There's so many of the cores right now that's just good man fighting cores. That Jug doesn't do that well.
But the
in
thing is,
man
Jug does something really well others don't, which is you take the lane pressure incredibly well because of the healing ward.
Yep. Yep.
And that can work well versus Doom. I mean, now of course they can't pick it, but
Yeah.
Yeah, the thought process behind the gyro here perhaps is that he's one of the few heroes that kind of fits here that can be both mid and safe lane. But I still would like Death Prophet better.
Yeah. I just don't want to see gyro middle. Like I've seen it a lot, and I always see it lose lane. And the only way to come back is like rotate correctly and get kills, and it's like a very risky condition to come back into a game.
the only team that I actually liked playing Gyro mid was VP. I mean, this VP, sure, that's an exception, but the way they play around it, they play like
Yeah.
some roaming Roger that just sits on the lane and enables him
You
really
didn't
hard.
like that Vici game with Paparazzi in the group stage?
He wasn't mid.
He wasn't.
That's
mid.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
And it had a
No, and
bounty
even-
with it as well, didn't it? So
SF,
Shadow
so they
King.
do go for
SF,
this.
Bach
Right.
SF. Yeah, I like that a lot.
It was one of
very early
Ori's,
call from Alan.
One of Ori's specials.
one of his old heroes that he used to play quite a lot.
Also a Paparazzi special too, though.
Good matchup versus
Oh
the Gyro
yeah,
Copter.
you want to talk about a guy that's one of the reasons they got Paparazzi, of course, is his 1v1 championship. So he's a Shadow Fiend player.
So you think? Do you think Mineski's going to level 1 smoke and try to kill this Shadow Fiend?
It's very hard though because the Bane is probably going to sit middle and protect him.
Right.
I
mean, before that, like they're just going to try to hunt him. Like, I mean, he's probably just going to be hiding, I guess, like near the base.
It is just like incredibly hard to really kill him now. A while ago, it was very easy because nobody protected middle properly, but now they got like very vigilant about it.
Yeah.
Bane Shadow Fiend's always a really strong dual lane.
Although it got nerfed a while ago,
so
18 souls from 12, from 18 to 12.
So surely you're looking at a mid as Mineski to match up with the SF.
Yeah, you want to have Lina. You want to have something that can pressure him. Lina, TA possibly. Just something that can pressure him and possibly kill him with a support rotation.
I think TA sounds excellent.
TA is, well...
They're only
you do have the last overall pick.
I think I like TA a lot.
TA is great.
Especially with the Razor Band.
I don't want to see something like a DK or DP because it's like you just lose the lane first of all without help, and you can't really kill him if you get help. I wanna be able to kill this SF, especially if you have this clock support level 1 that gives him the advantage in the lane.
So what does Paparazzi play? I was going to say the Razor, but they've banned that now.
What's his hero pool left that he plays a lot?
I was thinking Jug for him.
Yeah, well, it's Jug. That's partly why I asked, because it's in the top of his hero pool. He's got plenty of games on OD, plenty of games on the Razor.
He does play safe lane Quap.
I like Jug or Lifestealer.
I like Jug or Lifestealer. Those are like the old ones versus the old ones that were just we always said versus Gyrocopter because you can just walk up to him.
And versus Titan lane, the Lifestealer.
Look at the first 3 picks from Mineski. I like the Lifestealer a lot.
Well, even
and
Gyro.
Gyro.
Well, he eats Gyro
runs up to him.
But that would make the TA pick even stronger.
It would.
If they want to go for that. I don't know why they keep banning this Meepo. I feel when Mineski picks Meepo, it's...
so they're going to go back to DP.
All right.
Fair enough.
That could be a Paparazzi SF then.
Well, the big thing about this, right, is that it keeps the lane secret. It's one of the few picks that keeps mid versus safe open. You're not sure who's going to play what.
Yeah.
I think it's DP safe lane, right?
Yeah, safe and SF.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is
have to be,
Paparazzi's SF.
Really? Safe and SF is really good against
if you like it,
tight though.
But you can't you can't triple raise because the Kraken removes it.
Yes.
Well, but if you...
And you get dual lane too.
I don't know. I feel like it's like the DP because you're versus Tide. You can use Spirit Siphon to counteract the pressure that comes up from the spam.
I like DP safe lane better as well. But we'll see what they do.
No, that's the thing. It depends on if SF gets counterpicked hard mid.
I guess so. Okay, yeah, fair.
That's
fine.
what I'm saying. That's the whole value of the pick.
Fair enough. I agree.
What counters are there really in the pool? Only TA for me. But even if you have a TA, 12 souls, you're even in damage.
Even Lina. Like I am very worried about the SF. The SF needs to farm more
for Chaos Net, or is it Gyro mid? Or
it's a Paparazzi DP.
Paparazzi DP or SF?
Yep.
Gyro mid? Or are we going to see a dual lane mid possibly?
It's Moon Gyro.
Do they have enough
CK
to deal with the Phantasm illusions?
I mean, you got,
can
SF
doom him
does
before
a lot of AoE
They don't
damage.
have any AoE control for them, though.
At least Requiem removes half the damage.
Yes.
Something. By the way, we failed to mention, Gyro is actually incredibly good against SF middle. You put the rocket on him, he's incredibly scared, and there's a lot of openings to take advantage of his low HP pool.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay, let's get some predictions. Start at the other end, Fogged.
Ride or die, Mineski.
Mineski for Fogged.
Same for me.
Yeah.
Same for Black.
I got a panel curse it. Mineski.
And panel cursed from the Has. 3 out of 3 have all gone for Mineski in game number 3. Congrats, Vici Gaming, as we head back to our commentary team of Capitalist and Gods.
All right, settle down there, Paul. All right, I still want to have an interesting game 3. It was a very strong last pick, Chaos Knight. It feels like it won the draft, right? It's good versus all 3 of those cores, but there's still a game to be played. There's still execution to be made by Mineski. And they did look good in game 2 when it came to execution, right?
Yeah, they definitely cleaned things up a little bit. Not perfect by any means. There were some moments of greatness from Vici Gaming in some of the team fights, but in the clutch, definitely Mineski played it well, which is good to see because game 1 was one of those chaotic 90-minute games you lose and you've got to be a little bit rattled.
Yeah.
So you lose that game 1, you come back, win game 2. That's very reassuring for the Mineski fans, I'd say.
We're going to have an early smoke-out push by Mineski as we head into the game.
What are they up to? They're going to invade the enemy side here. Can they find any pickoffs? They know they're doing SF cogs in Fountain, so I love it when teams like move out aggressively level 1 against the SF Clockwork because 3 heroes have to be in base at the start, and they just saw the Doom.
They saw...
There was a bunch of pinging, so I think they saw him walk by.
I think they saw the Doom, but I think something about Vici Gaming, well, they definitely know now because the ward placed.
Yep.
So they're going to be okay.
Ninja Boogie's going to have to run. He's actually not able to 2v2 this, but hey, backup's coming. Moon's coming back with a homing missile. Could be a first blood here.
Run, Fenrir, run. Mushi's on the other side. There's nowhere to run to. First blood for Moon. They give the mid laner the first blood. That is actually something it's huge because he's already in a matchup against the SF, which is kind of good for the Gyrocopter because of the missile spam.
Yeah, Mushi was like mid-swing, and then he's like, wait a second, this is actually better on the gyro than me. Anytime you get a mid at first blood, it's always going to be better getting that fast Aquila or something, just more last hitting damage. You're not the best last hitter in a Gyrocopter against an SF, who's got a big damage advantage on you. 71 damage compared to the 52. They have to dual lane against SF, or otherwise he's going to deny and last hit everything.
I think that was, I think they were really hoping that they were going to be able to smoke and catch SF somehow, but obviously that's unreasonable.
Yep.
As he's usually going to be just spending his time away from those bounty runes, going for the blocks and killing those cogs instead. Jabs. He's doing a good job challenging Ori, pushing him out. In our top lane, we do have Ice Ice's Tide Hunter, who's actually not going to be receiving the dual lane treatment that they tend to do just because the Sky has to be mid, so he's alone against a Clock and Death Prophet lane. Death Prophet side lane was a pretty clever idea by Vici Gaming to deal with this.
Yeah, I don't mind this. I hear that should match up pretty well against the Tide, since you have got 2 magic damage-based spells and nukes to try and zone him and go for these kills. Yeah, so Ice getting some cogs, but also takes a lot of mana, and he's actually going to die to Battery Assault. Gets level 2 off of a creep, and
that one melee creep died in the middle of that engagement, so
really good coordination, just going in while the Death Prophet got that last hit to get him level 2.
Well, now the Skywrath Mage is here, so we may see that that early pickup of Gush and the harassment of the Skywrath Mage. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Ninja Boogie is playing the line against Fenrir's Bane, who Fenrir currently trying to interrupt the single pull from Ninja Boogie to make sure he can't translate it over into the hard camp, which is actually blocked.
We'll see if there's going to be any changes there. That was actually just manually blocked, so we'll see it blocked once again at 2 minutes. As Bane and Lion continue to duke it out down bottom, giving Chaos Knight more of a 1v1 against the Doom, who is getting some decent last hits here. Definitely the hero to look out for is this Chaos Knight. He can very quickly snowball this game if he gets off to a good start.
You don't want to block it if you're Fenrir, though, right?
No, I think it was the Lion. The Lion was the one who actually blocked it at 2 minutes. So,
oh, okay.
He stood in front of that, I guess, making sure they prevent the Doom getting a good Devourer off early on.
Paparazzi, he may be able to Spirit Siphon onto the Tide Hunter to give him some HP, but the damage from jabs is just so immense. He's having a hard time dealing with that, and he will end up going down here as Clockwork picked up an Invis rune and rotated to mid, so he couldn't be there to help.
Yep, it's the classic early Gush point coming out from Ice, and they had, I guess, figured out that the Clockwork had rotated off the lane even without any kind of observe wards on him, and they punished the lone Death Prophet. Very nicely done.
So Gyro just plays super far back until the clock shows up again in the top lane. He can play his lane like normal once again.
Yeah, Gyro losing out on CS fairly significantly. The SF with 21 denies. He went to lane with 12, so he's pretty much got 12 CS with 9 denies, which is a decent lead over the 9-6 of Gyrocopter, which is somewhat unavoidable because of all that extra damage that he's got. And they haven't done any early smoke rotations to try and take away his bonus damage.
2 seconds done on Fenrir. They have the follow-up of the Hex as well, but Fenrir will eventually get far enough away. He even had a Nightmare if necessary.
Yep. Interesting going for that early point in the Chaos Strike. I feel like I don't see this that often on Chaos Knight just because it is such a low % chance, but it's kind of nice because if it ever does proc, it gives you actually a decent chunk of regen. So against these harassing dual lanes, you can just attack more freely, hope for a crit, and should you get it, suddenly you're life-stealing a decent amount. He's going to get a second point, so going very all-in on the passive here.
Yeah, with the low armor Doom and their Reality Rift minus armor, I think he likes the concept of the big burst damage that he'll get. We'll see if it actually pays out any dividends. His mid lane, or he's going to be dove underneath the tier 1 tower. He does manage to get the double raise onto jabs, but it's not enough to finish him off. Healing salve a little bit, he'll still die to the Skywrath nuke.
Yep. Nice kill. There you go. You're taking away the SF souls now and just putting him under pressure, so even when he comes back to lane, he may still be in some trouble here. Although Moon a bit low in health and mana. Needs to heal himself back up if he wants to look for any follow-up kills to go with this. Bottom lane, they're looking for a kill.
He got the crit, healed up a good amount, and will be able to finish off 11.
No, showing this build works out. Definitely, you'd normally expect like a 1-4-1 build. That's kind of the build where you can punish the Doom with the guaranteed minus armor, but the sustain from this build is actually proven to be pretty nice because he's completely out of regen. He does have a 5-minute shrine coming up as well as bounty runes. Mushi's not going for that. He's going for the kill.
And he should be able to get it on Ninja Boogie. Wakes Ninja Boogie up in time to be able to get off the heal, but it's not going to be enough. Fenrir finishes him off with the Brain Sap. And Moon and Jabs were both walking over since they were going to try and use the shrine together, but couldn't get there in time.
Yeah, they'll get some 3-man spa treatment, which is decent value out of that first shrine. ISSI's using the top one immediately, so both Radiant Shrines being used to sustain themselves, and definitely the lineup that wants to keep playing aggressive, using those shrines actively, getting Moon back into this lane, looking for another homing missile setup. He instantly just chucks a homing missile on Ori casually.
They have to make this rotation fast.
Yep.
Or he's already back
New
in.
target.
Fenrir, he'll tank it instead.
Not bad.
It's kind of a cool concept because that entire gank is very well disguised, right? Because you're expecting the Chaos Knight to be out of lane using the shrine. That like 15 seconds, you know? It's going to be a little bit until you finally notice that he's gone a little bit longer than you expected in that bottom lane.
Yeah. One thing I'm interested to see from Mushi is the build he goes. The fact he's saving up all this money and going for this sustain build with Chaos Strike makes me think he's going to be going that Midas. We saw Illidan do it when he played Chaos Knight, and he just snowballed out of control. When you're the hero that if you snowball, you win the game, getting a Midas feels really good.
Throwing a lot of damage onto the Doom, half HP, but he can now turn. Doesn't pop the Scorched Earth even, feeling confident, but Fenrir, he's not going to be as confident. He does have the level 2 Brain Sap, tries to turn around, gets it off, but it doesn't matter. The big crit comes out from Mushi and kills him anyway, but now he needs another crit to be able to stay alive against this Doom. Managed to get the stun out. Mushi limps away. They now slow down this Doom. Doom, who's struggling to be able to get his hands on anybody in this fight, but he's bigger and badder than all of them. He'll beat down Jabs, chase him away, and everyone, it seems, is too low HP to challenge 11 at just 250 HP.
Yeah. While the Midas feels really good when you can snowball, it doesn't feel that great when your lane's being heavily contested and the constant harass. He's going to change it up. Gets the Helm of Iron Will. Didn't find the initiation. But yeah, Mushi decides, I don't know if he was thinking about the Midas or if he was just trying to rush this Helm of Iron Will regardless. He actually had 1,200 gold, so I really feel like he was wanting to go Midas, but he's going to have to reconsider.
Jabs shows himself. He knows he's dead. There, we're going to dive regardless.
Yep. Mushi TP'd away, so he at least gets back to safety and is going to switch up his lane and head towards top. So first Exorcism could come out now from Paparazzi. He was the one swinging bottom, and when you make this move out of your lane as the safe lane farmer, you're definitely looking to take and pressure the enemy safe lane tower.
And there's no counter pressure from Mineski. Their heroes just don't really warrant it. All it needs is Lanham, Clockwork to go up there and kind of defend against Ice's push. And he'll try and collect himself a faster level 6 in the process. So it feels like a win-win.
With that said, Jared level 6 and Lion also down bottom. They do look like they want to fight